gave us some information.
Lucky.
We're just wondering if there's some evidence in the White House.
Lucky.
Evidence of those fraud claims, or can Elon Musk come to the briefing room and
Chodź, Lucky, chodź. Chodź. Chodź, Lucky, chodź. Chodź do mnie, chodź, malutki. No chodź, chodź, chodź.
Great answers. He was speaking in layman's terms, speaking common sense to all of you in the media, but also to us at home. But I would say especially to all of you in the media, because I think it's a real fallacy that there's this alleged lack of transparency when it comes to Doge. President Trump and Elon Musk have been incredibly transparent on what Doge is doing. There is an X account with the Doge handle. They are tweeting out what they are doing on a daily basis. They have a website where they are posting the receipts of the contracts that they are reviewing and the payments that they have stopped from going out the door. Secretaries of our departments have stopped from going out the door. And I would also say that before it was Elon Musk making our government efficient and accountable, there was some unnamed bureaucrat that none of you knew. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's also now one of the most highly scrutinized men in the world alongside President Trump because of what he's doing and the access that he is allowing. So there's great transparency. As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought them today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent, and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that Doge found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that Doge identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that Doge is identifying daily. They're moving very fast. There's a lot of paper that we can show you, but we're happy to this administration has been more than transparent in how Doge is doing. And here's one of their about the mine. I believe this is in Pennsylvania, where the federal employee retirement system is being processed. Did anybody know this? Talked about it in the Oval Office yesterday. A lot of people. So we are providing transparency and accessibility on a daily basis when it comes to Doge. And I also have a Doge daily report, if anybody would like it, on all of the things that they are identifying and finding. We're happy to provide this information to you. We're talking about it every single day. Are all those things you mentioned fraud, or are they waste, or are they contract?
Another one.
I would argue that all of these things are fraudulent, they are wasteful, and they are abuse of the American taxpayer. This is what the government should be spending money on. It's contrary to the president's priorities and agenda.
Did you know that when you wear lenses, your eyes become lazy? Instead, try these self-adjustable glasses.
Zaraz mi chyba kurwa pierdolne tego. Zaraz kurwa bułka to się obsrają.
It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus. Many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But is it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the person that you're talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that. but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server, and Apple has recognized that, Google has recognized that, pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America, and it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world. Sure. Thank you, Caroline.
Czekaj, ja sobie rzucę jedną skrzynkę. Dobra, idziemy.
The hosts of The View have reached a new low. Their most recent episode saw the host discuss Elon Musk's press conference at the Oval Office whilst giggling and mocking the name of his young son X.
Yesterday, Elon Musk took his son X.
A jak będziesz się śmiał, to będę wypadać z każdego jednego.
I did not name the child. And I don't want to hear any more mess about our names, okay? Okay? Oh. Anywho, he took little X. Sorry.
A little Instagram.
He doesn't know what
He doesn't know Instagram. He just took little X with him to a press conference in the Oval Office.
Online commentators blasted the petulant response, with this person saying, Whoopi Goldberg is now making fun of Elon's kid's name as the audience laughs, picking on a child. She's evil. This commentator agreed, pointing out the hypocrisy of Whoopi Goldberg's actions. Whoopi Goldberg mocking Elon's son's name. The same people who cry about bullying have no problem doing it themselves. And Whoopi Goldberg didn't stop her criticism at the toddler. She blasted Elon Musk for being transparent in his new role as head of Doge.
You know, I get that there's fat everywhere, and yes, we don't like to see less of it. But what you're doing is a lot more than just cutting fat. You're giving people information that they should not have because they're not the people whose information it is.
Yeah.
So, and nobody elected you.
Yeah.
That's the bad.
This commentator replied to Goldberg's call for censorship, saying, whose information is it, if not the taxpayers who funded it? During the same conversation, co-host Joy Behar tried to expose Elon Musk in a lie, but ended up kicking an own goal.
For 2 weeks, we heard this idea that they spent $50 million on condoms in Gaza.
Right.
It's not even Gaza in the Middle East. It's Gaza in Mozambique. They didn't even know that.
And the number was wrong, too.
And then he goes on, Elon Musk goes on and says, well, I made a mistake. Meanwhile, you perpetuate the lie for the past 2 weeks, just like they did about these Haitians eating cats and dogs. Lies, and more lies, and then it goes out there.
Musk responded by turning his mistake into an opportunity to reiterate the need to cut waste and unnecessary funding to any part of the world.
First of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms if you think about it. But if we went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
This commentator blasted Behar, saying, Joy Behar accidentally makes Elon Musk look good while absurdly fact-checking his claim about US aid sending $50 million in condoms to Gaza. It's not even Gaza in the Middle East, it's Gaza in Mozambique. They didn't even know that. That doesn't sound any better, Joy. And despite the ladies of The View not appreciating Doge's cleanup effort in the White House, President Donald Trump commended Elon Musk's work.
And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We have a lot of stuff. And I want to commend Elon because he doesn't need this. He's abused by you people every day. He's found more things than anybody can find. I think he's got the credibility to do it. I know he does. And it's his group of people. They started off with 12.
O kurwa! No nie!
12 geniuses.
Co
They started off with 12 and they went to 20 and 25 and now they're up to almost 100. People are joining to help them. This is a massive fraud that's taking place.
Oh, fucking hell.
Your money never sat idle and could earn. up to 5% annual interest paid daily. Oh, and withdraw it at any time.
No i chuj. Diament jakiś mi się wpierdolił w tym. Mnie zajebał.
Much more than that in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. So maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation. I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, sorry. Tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the President, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large, unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at if you asked looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking, because we spend a lot of money on defense. But if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country.
We're going to interrupt this problem to fact check it a little bit. One, irony died while he was talking. The only unelected party in any of this is Elon Musk. Andrew Nassios, who was the administrator of USAID, a lifelong Republican and self-described hardline conservative, said it took 1 month to turn the mission of USAID in the direction of a hard-right conservative agenda from the Clinton years. So the idea that the bureaucracy, as Elon Musk is describing, isn't responsive to the policymaker is destroyed by the fact pattern as testified to by Democratic and Republican cabinet officials. But there you have it. The co-president speaking much longer and in far greater detail than the president, drawing into serious question, who's in charge?
Well, let's say it ain't we the people, because I think what they just forgot in that long litany of misinformation and disinformation, which is just my real nice way of saying lies. There was a whole bunch of lying in there, starting with Donald Trump acting like a judge in the Doge case was not protecting the rights of ordinary people, which is what that case was about, right? It was actually about our rights. Every last one of us that has Social Security numbers in that data, when Elon Musk had his employees go in and seize data. That's our data. So this whole thing and this question about elections, you already pointed out the big irony, but the other point of this is it's actually, the courts are actually created through the Constitution. So it is an estate in the separation of powers, and it is there to protect us against the kind of overreach and lawlessness we have been watching unfold for the past 3 weeks. And for Elon Musk to call for the impeachment, which he has of this judge who was following the law, is really to say, unless you do our bidding, we will suggest we should come for your job, even though you are supposed to be independent from us, and that is the balance of power. And I just was one other point, which is so critical, is for them to actually be saying this now, when guess what the will of the people wasn't? The will of the people was not the Supreme Court's overturning Roe v. Wade and saying we couldn't have rights to decide when and how we start a family. That was not the will of the people, but yet I didn't see or hear any of this about the judiciary when we got that ruling from the Supreme Court.
Let me just ask, is he still talking? Is Donald Trump, he's still talking, I'm told. Is Donald Trump still just listening to Elon Musk? Donald Trump is still, right now, listening to Elon Musk talk. So, Glenn Thrush, as a longtime watcher of Donald Trump and of politics in general, have you ever seen Donald Trump watch someone talk instead of him at an event for this long?
The look you're seeing right there is the Trump looking at the kid mowing the lawn look, Nicole. Look right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's what people don't really get is like the one group of people that Trump has typically over the course of his career been fairly deferential to are bankers. He has an enormous amount of respect for people who have accumulated a lot of money. He understands